call this work session to order. Let's go around the table and identify everybody here. We'll start with you, Mr. Peterson.
Pete Peterson.
Dick Trainee.
Amy Dembossi.
Bill Evans.
Tim Steele.
Wayne Hunter, Peloton Group.
Lance Ahern with IT.
Ann Reed, Municipality.
We're here to talk about this update, so we'll turn the time over to you guys.
Okay, this is our monthly update to the Assembly and the work session. We are currently sitting at, we were red at the previous report. We are now on yellow. We are in the process of reviewing we're working under the direction of our project stakeholders on our current plan. Based on that current plan, our timeline and our schedule are actually green, but we are showing yellow because we are still working through the cost implications of our current directed timeline. So our previous report was red and our current one is yellow. We have a 1-month deferral for a completion date for our financial section of this project. If you remember correctly, it was October 1st. We are now looking at a November 1st completion. Looking at a November 1st completion, however, the quality and the fact that November and December have large national holidays in them, plus the fact that for financials, choosing an end of year is a much cleaner, simpler process for a conversion. And being as November is that close to it, it was the decision to go live on January 1st.
Ms. Gray Jackson has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think you answered the question because from an email that we saw, the go live was, like you just said, January 1st, 2015. But when you mentioned November 1st completion, but you answered the question. So, but go live is now January 1st.
January 1st because of end of year and the process.
I understand that, but that's the go live date.
Correct,
now.
for the financial section. That is correct.
Not for the entire.
Not for the entire part.
Okay, so only the financial session.
That is correct. Financial and procurement. I mean, it's the shopping cart and
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am. Please continue.
This is our budget to actual spending to date. We are still under budget. This is being reviewed along with the other cost implications of our current schedule. I'm going to move forward unless there's questions.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll let you know if there's questions.
Okay. So our recent accomplishments, the last time we were in front of you, we were still in the process, I don't know if any of you remember, moving all of the data from the PeopleSoft side into the SAP side, making sure we didn't drop any dollars, making sure that the buckets they went into were all proper. That has been completed. We have totally tested out all the processes. The money does move correctly. It does go into the right buckets. We are finishing up with the FERC reporting. Those processes on the FERC, which is the Federal Energy Reserve Commission.
It's the utilities.
It's the utilities, yes, and it's their regulated reporting. And that is the last step on both our mock conversion, which is moving all the data from PeopleSoft to SAP, and for our month-end, year-end testing. That is also a very large, the FERC processing in month-end testing. So those steps are the only steps left to complete on both of those very large things moving forward. We are going to run another mock conversion, again moving all the data from the PeopleSoft side into the SAP side. The first time we did it, we took data from February 14th because that was the appropriate time for when we started our mock conversion. Our second mock conversion is June 30th, so we have a half year of data that we are going to be moving. We anticipate that there will be additional projects, additional grants, things that weren't there for February 14 that we will be able to then true out in the mock 2 conversion. After we finish the mock conversion, we are going to do a cutover test. And the cutover test actually does a mock conversion again, but we time it because it takes time to move that much data and the complexities on the PeopleSoft side to the SAP side. And so we need to time that so that when we do go live, we know exactly what the handoffs are and when the handoffs will be. On the employee relations payroll activities, we are still in our integration testing 1. Integration testing is testing the functionality of the system. They have discovered, due to the detailed testing, some design issues. We are working through those design issues right now, and we should be completing those this month and continuing on with our integration testing of section 1 and then moving into section 2. After section 2 of integration testing, whereby we have proven out that the design works, that the functionality is solid, we will go into parallel payroll testing. There will be 2 of those. With the changes in the collective bargaining agreements, which this body has approved going forward, those changes have been made in the functionality of SAP. We are going to pick 2 payroll periods, and this is under discussion, after the Kronos and PeopleSoft side have also incorporated all of those collective bargaining agreement changes, so that we are comparing apples to apples when we run the parallel payroll testing. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear going forward. This is our new high-level project timeline moving forward with the project. We've got our month-end, year-end testing finishing this month, with the only steps left are the FERC testing, the FERC processing, and validation. We are doing the FILO data conversion. We have finished where FERC will be the finish for the Mach 1, and we'll go into Mach 2. Then we start in on our cutover testing here, making us complete on November 1st, and then this is our go live with our cutover date on January 1st. Our current projection for the employee relations and payroll side has us starting our parallel payrolls, I believe, in November. We estimate that they're going to take 8 to 10 weeks apiece in order to validate out that we are going to have a correct payroll in both, matching the PeopleSoft system with all the CBA changes incorporated. So you can see that, and then we've got training delivery for HCM, and then the HCM go live is currently estimated at April 1st. So project status, these all reflect the new dates going forward. There are a number of things that we have completed. I can't emphasize the fact enough that we are constantly moving forward. We have completed on the financial side, we have basically completed the 90% of the body of work. We have validated that the functionality works with the integration testing, and we have successfully moved all the data from the PeopleSoft side to the SAP side. So these are the different sections of the deliverables. We have done, I would guess, about 80% of our full volume interface testing. And on the payroll side, almost all of that will be executed in the parallel payroll testing. There are a number of vendors that we have interfaces with. Great West, Hero, Price, Unum are some of them that only want to see real data in a test. They don't want to see test data in a test. So the only time we really will have real data to protect everybody's confidentiality is during a parallel payroll test. So that's when we will be doing most of those interface testings. We have done as much as we can other than doing a full volume through them going forward. We have a super user program which has started, and the super users are going to be, the training I believe starts next week? Week after next. Very soon, so that they get a familiarity with the SAP software and its functionality. They are going to be your experts in the departments. They will be the first ones to go to with questions once we go live. If they can't answer it, there will be a command center, there will be a structure in place to make sure that all questions get answered and things move along at the proper timeline. And we have a business readiness program that is also in place. The senior leadership meets every other Wednesday morning and have constant updates. That includes their interfaces. It includes whether the PCs are adequately set up correctly with the correct software on them to run SAP, so that all of that is tracked moving forward. These are the deliverables that will get more important as we get closer to our go live. Our cutover testing will start at the end of September, will run into the end of October. Our stress and volume testing for the financial procurement section is going to be for a week in September. Training delivery to the end users will start in October. Post-production support, our go, no-go decision, our backout and recovery plan, and our final migration and cutover. Our risk summary has not changed since the last time. It actually hasn't changed for a couple of months. These are the same risks as has been in front of you. They still exist, and we are mitigating them as they occur. The customizations in PeopleSoft did create an amount of unexpected data conversion issues. They were complex. The mappings, the crosswalks, as we call them, between the two systems took more time to go through and make correct as we went forward with the mock conversion. We continue to move strongly forward. There is no doubt in my mind that this will go live, that we have been through the hard pieces of this. The functionality works. We can move the data properly from PeopleSoft to SAP. Now it's just tying the bows and dotting the I's and crossing the T's. We do still have a resource issue. So that's being mitigated and escalated when it occurs.
Ms. Gray Jackson, Mr. Brodsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of questions. First off, thank you very much for your presentation. I really appreciate having these monthly updates. First question is, what is your name again? Can you tell us that? I'm sorry.
Wade Hunt.
Wade, thank you, Wade. I mean, after we got rid of, just for the edification of my colleagues that weren't here, after Black and Beach, the city got rid of Black and Beach, okay, because things weren't working out, I'll put it like that. And then Peloton was hired and got a $6 million contract. Right. So how do you feel? I'd like to hear how you feel things are going, Wade.
Well, thank you for the question. The way I would characterize it right now is it's a significantly different project from November when we started on the project. I think Ann and Lance would attest. I'll let them do that separately. There's a clear path to completion, and the work that's been done has been solid. As Ann mentioned on the finance and procurement piece, which is a fairly large piece in terms of the scope of it, it's completely tested, completely working with the team, and they're finalizing a few of the conversion items. That's significantly different than where it was just a few months ago in November. On the ER payroll side of it, significant progress as well, though we did uncover some areas where, there was just some areas where the design had to be reset a little bit. It was just the assumption made as to where the design was. When we really put a proper integration test around it and put all this structure around the project, it became clear that, okay, we need to take a pause and address some of these design issues and also incorporate some of these CBA changes that were coming to make sure it was really accurate. And then there's some coordination with some of the other systems that Ann had mentioned, like Kronos and PeopleSoft, to make sure they were also updated so that when we test, it's all coordinated. You're really on a path right now where there's a clear path how to get finished, and it's going to be almost completely dependent on if the staffing around that path is staffed to the assumption that was made. A lot of the HCM work, when we say HCM, it's human capital management, but it's really the ER payroll part. A lot of that is work that requires the detailed knowledge of the Uni team members. And the timeline for that just is really almost directly related to the staffing commitment that's put into that. So the path is clear, and I think the biggest challenge right now is just to make sure that that staffing can push the schedule along at this point. I don't see any major obstacles in the path. I think it's just really getting that commitment to push it over the finish line.
Can I follow up, Mr. Chairman? I don't know if my colleagues know this or not, but the head supervisor, or whatever you want to call her title, Tony Crocker, is leaving. So do you anticipate problems because of that situation? And before you answer that, one of the issues that we had with Black and Beach too was the fact that we weren't completing projects on time. Okay, so my second question is, do you anticipate requesting additional funding because of not making that October 1st deadline?
Well, whenever there's a say, a change in the project, there's always an impact in one way or another. It's something that we're evaluating with the executives right now. There's some business decisions that are being made that we're supporting, but depending on those business decisions, we really have to assess the impact and then work with the executive to determine what that means. We don't have all the information yet to say what that outcome could be, but it is dependent on some of the things I mentioned, the amount of staffing that would push the schedule along. The last time that we kind of put our heads together and said, how can we juggle things to keep it all within the current contract? We pushed things out to the end of September. We did some things to make it all fit in the package. Now, if we're looking out at some dates beyond that, we really have to get back together with the executives and look at what that means.
Right, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but to me, what you just said is yes. And so, also, the Tony Crocker's question, would you like to respond to that too?
Sure. Tony was what we call a subject matter expert to the project. She wasn't directly a project team member. From the consulting side, what that means is as we're developing the system and there's a question about how something works today,
Okay.
then you would go to Tony and say, this is how that would work. Most of that work has already been done. In the last couple of months when we worked through some of these design issues, we'd rely on Tony and some other key business members to put it through. At this point of the project, I don't want to keep emphasizing the same thing. It's really executing the work and doing the testing and staffing accordingly to push the schedule. Tony wasn't one of the main ones who was doing that work. She was really keeping the business going for the union.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, can I ask two more questions, please?
Yes.
Amy, do you mind?
No, I don't.
Okay.
She'll beat you in.
Okay, the next question is, and you probably don't even need to answer it, it's just rhetorical. The 2015 budget was built in PeopleSoft, not SAP, correct? Okay. And now, when I look at the budget versus actual spending to date, it looks like these numbers are as of April 14th. I guess that's today. No. And you're not going to go. I'm sorry, August. Thank you, Pete. And so we're not going live with the financial procurement only until January 1st, and then other parts are not going to go live till April, and who knows when other parts are going to go live. But my point is, in professional services, you're getting close. Training, you're getting close. Hardware, you're getting really close. And then MOA labor, you're getting really close, and that really concerns me. And you don't have to respond. I'm just letting you know that concerns me a lot. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dombrowski.
Thank you, and thank you, Wade. You answered a lot of my questions. When we talk in veiled language, like resources, we're talking about staff, right? So let's not beat around the bush. That's my own personal preference request. Second, when we're talking about completion dates, just so I'm entirely clear, I can't tell you I'm surprised that October 1 is not the date. But now what I'm understanding is the financial and procurement piece will go live January 1, correct? And that's a commitment. Then the rest of it's gonna go live April 1, correct? Or are we not committing to that yet?
Sorry, are you asking?
I don't care who answers. I don't care who
Both of you, if
answers.
you would like.
Yes. Would you like me to go? Lance, would you like to go?
Right now, you kind of own the current plan, so I'll let you speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
The way I would answer that, and I'll also let Ann chime in, because we work lockstep on this. We're really tight on this. It's directly related to those staffing assumptions. We call it resources staffing. Sorry, it's just it makes them
So if
together.
you have the staff,
Yes.
you will go live April 1.
It's a very confident plan as long as the staffing assumptions are committed to. It's ample time, even based on your peers that are larger cities.
Sure.
It's very responsible, it's very ample, but I can't emphasize more, it's directly related to the amount of staff that's assigned.
Okay. So if I may follow up.
Just one more.
I absolutely understand taking on a project, getting in there, vetting it, and going, whoa, there's more to this than we anticipated. I get that. I'm not gonna hang out to dry for that. I get the fact that the success of this project directly is related to the municipality bankers and the staff support. I get that. And I guess this is more of a very direct comment to Mr. Ahern. As the CIO for the city, I want you to know right now, my patience is running very thin. If you have a staffing issue, don't wait a month to give us a heads up. We need to know right away, because we want this project done, and we want it done before the next administration comes in next summer. And, you know, if we do a contract extension, I will tell you right now, the way I'll support it is if the payment is at completion. Because, you know, I'm not going down this road. And, you know, this is a very expensive project. I absolutely support Peloton in their endeavors. I think they've taken they inherited a mess, let's just be honest.
Through the chair. Just a very brief response. Within the municipality, there are three main stakeholders: IT, employee relations, and finance, who supply staff to the project. And so I can only speak for the ones I have control over. But through the status reports and that we provide every month and that go every week to Lucinda and other executives, it's clearly identified and has been for about 2 years now that MOA resourcing has always been the controlling factor
Sure.
in the schedule and thus the overall project cost.
Sure. And that's why I just want to be incredibly upfront with everyone who's involved with this project to know where I'm coming from. And I'm confident you'll bring that message back to the administration. And, you know, I can guarantee I'll do the same, but I don't want to beat around the bush. You know, this is a project, we don't want to do what we did with PeopleSoft, half implementation and then you have half a product. We want to make sure you have the tools you need to successfully, you know, get this up and running completely. But if things are being hidden from us, or we don't find out about them till late, and then it throws everything off, that's not good communication, and we need to work on that.
Unless I've got two more assembly members. One thing, I want to look at item number 3 on final thought, shortage of personnel. Next month in 30 days, next report, I want the respective other organizations here, not just you. I want them here to explain to us why we're seeing this shortage of staff. Mr. Peterson.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and that's, my question's along the same lines with that. Is my question, are you having trouble recruiting staff? And if you are, is there anything we, as members of the
Ma'am, sit
assembly,
down,
can do
please.
to help you? Because obviously, many hands make light work, and if you get some qualified, good people in there with some energy, maybe we can get this thing done a little sooner than later.
Mr. Steele, sir.
I'm glad to see that we're all on the same page, because mine is a simple thing. Is it particular staff or is it bodies? And, you know, as a project goes on and on and on, people get tired of being pulled out and asked to do more with less and so on and so forth. The question is, what do we need to advocate for? Particular people, their focus, or bodies?
Through the chair, Lucinda recently approved in consulting with Nancy and others adding 5 additional positions, which are in the process of being recruited now. And that was based in part upon the understanding that there is this transition period due to a split go-live, and that transition period requires us to run PeopleSoft and run SAP. And so we did the analysis of what that impact was to the business, and so we put together a plan. I believe it was originally 4 positions, but it's been upgraded to 5. And so we're in the process of addressing that. But that in particular was driven due to the decision to do a split go-live. It wasn't due to other issues.
Since you've got 5 positions coming in 30 days, I want to know the status of those 5 positions. Not that we're out shopping, I want to know if they've got boots in the ground working on this project. Tell her for me.
Thank you.
Mr. Evans, sir, anything?
No, thank you.
Ms. Gray Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Assembly just approved at the last meeting $1 million contract for outside services dealing with,
The PBS temporary
the
contract?
PBS.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, and I really would like to see a breakdown of expenditures and, you know, in detail, because last time we asked for it, we didn't get that much detail, but I'd really like to see a detailed breakdown. And I mean, that's $1 million contract, you're talking about, you know, short staffing, so I really would appreciate that. And again, thank you for the presentation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, everybody that's here. We appreciate getting the information. And this work session is now over.